Square was going to allow some users of Square Cash, its app, to be involved in a trial where they could buy and sell Bitcoin. And we don't think it's a coincidence that after that point, Square added about $3.5 billion in market cap through Friday. The reality, though, is that even if you look at this trial succeeding and turning into a permanent part of the Square Cash app, they maybe will be able to generate $30 million over the next couple of years. You attach a 15% margin to that, then you're around $5 million in EBITDA. Even if you put a 30 times multiple on that, you're at $150 million.
Okay.
On a company with a market cap coming into today of over $19 billion.
Wow, so it's a rounding error even if it does take off, let's say.
That's very much the way we look at it.
Lisa, all the same, if people look at the market price, the share reaction to this idea that it's going to be a bonanza, do you think that maybe we'd see some of the bigger players, the Visas, the MasterCards, chasing the market too?
Yeah, unlikely, I guess, given like what Square is getting involved in is more investment-oriented. I suppose it's possible a player like PayPal could look in this direction. PayPal has a large person-to-person payment business and cross-border business similar to what Square is building. And that's the primary use case, actual use case, besides just sort of speculative investment, actual use case for Bitcoin today. So it's possible that a player like that could get involved. Yep.
Lisa, the movement in Square, both to the upside and maybe today to the downside, when it came to this sort of Bitcoin echo effect, definitely shows, doesn't it, that investors are craving some way to play the build out of this phenomenon, whatever it might be, outside of just owning the coins. Is there a good one that might be targeted enough on the blockchain or all these other kind of institutional uses of cryptocurrency and other technologies at this point, or do we have to just wait?
Yeah, that's probably the top question I get from investors related to cryptocurrencies, which is how can we play this in the public equities markets? And I think you're absolutely right. This sort of seesaw effect we're seeing in Square is sort of an echo effect of that. Unfortunately, right now, it is a little bit of a wait. There is not a clear, certainly not on the long side, a clear way to play the cryptocurrency phenomenon in the public markets. There are certainly areas of the public markets that you'd be watching more that potentially are at risk related to cryptocurrencies. That would be areas like the trust banks, correspondent banks, some of the players potentially at risk of disruption from underlying blockchain technologies. But right now, unfortunately, nothing on the long side on Bitcoin.
So, Mark, even if a company like PayPal were to allow for that usage, is your point that the sort of the bubble-ish kind of effect that the market cap would have, because people would just get so excited about having a public way to basically have exposure to Bitcoin, will not make it worth it, for somebody to follow that? In other words, that if it rallies because of something like that, you'd move the other way.
Well, I think it's dangerous for a stock to become tethered to a cryptocurrency, particularly one that has demonstrated the volatility that Bitcoin has in the past. The other thing that happens when you see a craze along these lines is that investors forget about the risks, the other risks associated with the story. In this case, what we see with Square is that they're getting increasingly involved in credit, particularly through Square Capital. They have applied for an industrial bank charter, so they want to get even bigger in credit. At a time when PayPal is trying to get further away from credit portfolio to Synchrony Financial, Square is running into the fire.